Hi, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to learn about personal pronouns in Portuguese. And this will be a series of lessons to teach you how to conjugate verbs in Portuguese. But the very first thing you need to know are the personal pronouns, right? So that's where we're going to start. So the very first one you learn is eu, which means I. And the only difference between eu and I in English is that eu is usually written with a small letter. The exception is when it's at the beginning of a sentence, of course, and the rest is all the same. Eu means I. And the second person is you, right? And in Portuguese, you can say tu or você. And they both mean the same thing, but they are conjugated differently. The verb that follows it will be conjugated differently. But the thing is that the difference between the two is not in formality level, because both have the same informal or neutral formality in it. But the difference is basically regional. Some people, depending on where they are from, will say tu, and other people will choose to use você. All right? Now, what if you want to address someone directly as a second person, but in a formal way? I will explain this at the end of the video. Let's continue with the normal personal pronouns for now. So stay tuned and to the end. The next personal pronoun is she, he, or it, right? How do we say that in Portuguese? So he is ele, and she is ela. And what about it? Well, for it, we also say ele, ela, and it depends on the gender of the object or the thing you are talking about. We also use isso to refer to it, but this is not a personal pronoun, so I will not talk about it today, right? So let's continue. So far, we had the singular personal pronouns, which are eu, tu, or você, ele, ela. All right? Now let's see the plural personal pronouns. Let's start with we. We in Portuguese is nós. But we also use a gente. And these are two separate words. A space gente. And both nós and a gente mean we. And what is the difference? Well, the first difference is in the conjugation of the verb that follows it, because nós and a gente are conjugated differently. You will not use the same conjugation ending of a verb for each of them. And the second difference is that we end up using a gente a lot more in our daily lives. It's just the way we speak normally in a daily basis. We also use nós. It's quite normal to use it, but you may hear a gente a little bit more. And the next one is voz. But to be honest, nobody uses voz. I don't think even regional or old or new people, no, nobody uses it. I have never heard anyone using voz in Brazil. Maybe even in some jokes, people may use it just to sound like a very, very, very old-fashioned 1800s person. But nowadays, nobody uses it. So I don't recommend you to learn the conjugation of voz, because this will be not useful for you at all. Okay, so since we don't use voz, what do we use to refer to more than one person, and like you, when you are talking directly to the person? Then in this case, we will use vocês. All right? So, as I said, você is you in the plural form, similar to tu, and vocês is the plural of você. And the level of formality is just neutral and maybe informal as well. And the last one is they, right? And similar to the singular, where we had ele, ela, here we will also make a distinction between the feminine and masculine, differently from English that we only have they. In Portuguese, we will say eles for they masculine, or elas for they feminine. The thing is that if you have one man and 5 women in the group, you will still say eles. So eles can be only for a group of men or a group of mixed genders in the group, eles. And elas is only used for a group of women. All right? And if you want to refer to they to an object, then you will need to know the gender of the object or the thing that you were talking about. So you will choose between eles or elas depending on the gender of the thing you were talking about. Alright? Now, as promised, I will give you a very nice trick to be able to be formal in Portuguese when you address somebody directly. Because as I said, tu and você are neutral or informal. But what about if you want to talk to a very specific person and you don't know if you should address them as você, for example? Then you have the option to say o senhor ou a senhora. Yeah, it may sound weird, but we do refer to the person directly like that. So, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you want to ask, do you need help? To somebody. If you don't mind about the level of formality, you can say, você precisa de ajuda? Você precisa de ajuda? This will be the version where you were just neutral. But if it's a very old person and you don't want to miss or sound rude, you can ask, if it's a man, o senhor precisa de ajuda? Or if it's a woman, an old lady, you can ask, a senhora precisa de ajuda? So that's how we make our sentences more formal when addressing someone directly. Alright, that's it for today. It was a very simple lesson just to get you acquaintance with the personal pronouns in Portuguese. And in the next lessons, you will learn how to conjugate verbs. And I hope to see you next time. Bye!